Before we get started, I need to clear up a couple of things. First of all, this video did not take me 4 weeks to make. It took me 1 week and a whole bunch of teeth grinding to make because this thing is extremely long. I'm assuming it's going to be extremely long. And I'm doing this without even knowing how the images are going to look because the way that Windows Movie Maker works is basically I have to record the narration before I put in the images. So, if this ends up failing, you will see 76 random images flashing in front of your face. Hopefully that will keep you sane throughout the upload. But otherwise, it'll look really cool and working on stuff like that. So, let's hope this turns out okay. But, another quick piece of information that you guys should know, my friend Sherby Magnum, the guy who made up the Choice Banded Durant set, and I built the team around him and stuff like that, also known as Dan, he hit first place in the Nintendo's Inverse Tournament, the Inverse Battle Tournament that they were running over Wi-Fi. He hit first place in Canada, and he was a contender for being #1 in North America. I believe at the time he said #1 in North America was Sucker for Jessica, and then he did some battles internationally. My friend Dan did some battles internationally, and he thinks that he may have gotten enough points to get to maybe that top spot, but for sure he did hit #1 in Canada. So congratulations to Dan Sherby Magnum. I wish I could show you an image, but it got corrupted when I was trying to download it, so I lost it. And so if you guys want to go check it, his name was Dan on the ladder if they show that stuff still. But you're going to have to take my word for it, he did hit #1. He's a fantastic player, so let's give him to that. But ladies and gentlemen, how are we doing? It's Pro Pokenoob, and welcome to Pro Pokenoob's Cheesy Top 10 Favorite Pokemon. This was suggested by a person by the name of Andre Dutra. Thank you very much for the upload suggestion. Like I said in a previous upload, if you guys have any ideas for me to upload through just simple images and narrations, I can do that. So that's what we're doing today. And this is something I would probably never think of do myself because it's so freaking cheesy and so just... everyone does it. I don't like doing what everyone does. I like to try and mix it up and, you know, make it original, but I guess no ideas are original, as I found out today with a very depressing conversation I had with my friend. But regardless, we have an upload. We're doing stuff. So, the thing is, if you know me, I like a lot of Pokemon. I have a hard time actually putting a favorite to things. So if you ask me my favorite movie, I have two favorite movies. No Country for Old Men and I, Robot. And the only way I categorize that is the fact that I would go rewatch them. No other movie I would ever rewatch. If you ask my favorite song, don't even. I have tons of favorite songs. If you ask my favorite shirt, I don't have a favorite shirt. I don't care for clothing. And if you ask my favorite Pokemon, it's very difficult for me to decide because I like a lot of them. And for different reasons as well. So, what I decided to do is I split this upload up into two parts. The first part will be my favorite legendaries for each generation. So I've split it up in that way. I'll get those out of the way, because I do like a lot of the legendaries. So I figured, you know, instead of putting those in the top 10, people are going to be like, oh, why are you putting all legendary? I want to see my Rattatan, the top 10. So, what I decided to do was make the legendaries separate, and then my top 10 will be straight after that, just to give you a little bit more content. And there is another... why do I have spiders hanging from my ceiling every single time? Come here, buddy. Come here. Die. No, not... don't get on my hand. Thank you very much. As you can tell, not much has changed with me and my narrating style. So there we go. It's dead and I'm ready to go. So, let's start off with the legendary ranking of Generation 1. Mewtwo versus Mew. I'm going to give it to Mewtwo. Why? Because I think, first of all, that Mewtwo is my absolute favorite legendary in all of Pokemon. Not just because he was the first legendary. Not just because you caught him in Pokemon Blue legitimately through that Cerulean Cave. But, have you ever thought about what Mewtwo actually is? Mewtwo is a Pokemon that can speak the English language, would destroy everything, is a complete badass, and will mind crush you. What is Mew? A little fluffy, pink, long-tailed, cute... That's not legendary. Legendary is Mewtwo, ladies and gentlemen. You want to take some criteria? You go to Mewtwo, and that's a legendary. I don't care what you say. He is my favorite legendary of all time. I like him. He is incredibly strong, and that's how my legendary should be. So, Mewtwo is going to take basically the #1 of all the legendaries, but particularly in Gen 1. Going over to Gen 2, I'm going to give it to Ho-Oh over Lugia, because Ho-Oh is a badass flying fire bird that has rainbow scales, will light you on fire with its sacred fire, versus just some white pansy bird that hid in Seafoam Caves. Seafoam Isles? Was it Seafoam Isles? Or am I thinking Articuno? Uh-oh. Oh dear. It's been a while, as you can tell. But I do like Aeroblast. Aeroblast was a really cool move, but Ho-Oh is just I grew up on Pokemon Gold. I just like Ho-Oh better. I just find it so much cooler. I don't know. I like a rainbow bird flying across the sky versus Lugia, you know, staying underground and being a loner. Like, that's just weird. I don't know. You're legendary. Go show yourself off. Gen 3, Kyogre over Groudon. Why? Because if you asked me about 11 years ago, water beats ground. Literally. And the thing is, Kyogre makes it rain. And then you go over to, you know, Groudon. Ground, right? Ground is in there, and he makes it sunny. At least his ability makes sense, where if you're causing a drought, that's because the sun is out. But when Kyogre makes it drizzle, it's kind of like, that's not drizzle, man. You can drop a 100% accurate thunder. You don't have a thunderstorm drizzle, right? That doesn't exist very much. So, you know, as much as Groudon stuff makes sense, kind of, it doesn't. He should have been a fire type, but then I understand why he's not a fire type. But I mean, regardless, it's not going to matter because Rayquaza comes out on top, and I give all the credit to Rayquaza because that's my second favorite legendary. Why? Because it's super powerful and it looks super freaking awesome. I just like the snake dragon look because it just looks so awesome, and it made me really fanboy out back when I bought Pokemon Emerald. But yeah, it was awesome for me. So Rayquaza is going to just kind of push those two down below and take my favorite position. Gen 4 sucked, but I still like Giratina over the other two. I just like the design of Giratina. I like the time-space idea, and then I liked how he was kind of like the underworld guy. I don't remember much lore, but I do know that Giratina is my favorite out of that. I did have Pokemon, oh man, Diamond. No, I had Platinum because I had Palkia. Platinum, yes. Yes, Palkia was in Platinum. So, I did have Palkia, and I do like Palkia better than Dialga. I don't like Dialga very much, but just the design of Giratina looks amazing, and then when he turns into Origin form, it looks even cooler. So, gonna go Giratina on that one. Gen 5, I'm gonna give it to Zekrom. Zekrom was the one I got, because I did do Pokemon White, which gave me Zekrom, but just when you have that cutscene where you meet N, and then he pops out the legendary from the stone, and it like melts the water, I just found it funny. You know, Reshiram has fire, has like a fire turbo butt, so it lights it, you know, it heats up the room and it actually melts the water. But then you have Zekrom come out, and Zekrom has an electric butt, but with its electric butt, it equals the evaporation of the water, but not even that, it zaps the whole freaking room. Okay, yeah, Reshiram has a whole bunch of flames going, yeah, but you got Zekrom shooting lightning everywhere, and the fact that he's melting water through lightning, that's gotta mean something. Zekrom is cooler, just to me, and I like the black over the white because it makes it, again, it makes it look like a little poofy and cute, the Reshiram, but Zekrom just looks like, you know, that's a real dragon, and Dragon Electric is a cool typing combination, so I'm gonna have to give that to him. And Kyurem, as much as I like you, man, you're a frozen chicken. You're a frozen chicken. I don't care if you transform into white Kyurem or black Kyurem, you're a frozen chicken. I can't, I want to give you more credit, but you're a frozen chicken. Ah! Frozen chicken, ladies and gentlemen. I bet he'd be melted by Zekrom's lightning as well. But, just saying. And then on to Gen 6, the current generation we're on right now. Yveltal. Why? Because when I was looking at the previews for these games, Demon Bird. Yeah. Fairy type. No. And I don't have a thing against Fairy type. I did have a thing against Fairy type. I was a little bitter that they brought out a new type. However, as cool as Xerneas does look with its sword legs and its sword hair, and the fact that it's a deer, the fact that it's a deer, that kind of threw me off, and I really like the fact that we have a demon bird named Yveltal. I really like that. And I do like Zygarde. Zygarde has a pretty cool design. The only thing that I don't like is he could have looked a little bit cooler. They kind of went with a, I understand they're trying to do a pattern-like thing with them. I don't know. They could have made him look a little bit more vicious. He kind of looks, I understand, like the Emperor type looking, because he's supposed to be like the snake, the bird, and the deer in that story of creation, or where the heck it's supposed to be. I know it's part of that story, but, you know, you could have made him look a little bit more intimidating. Like, look at Mewtwo. Mewtwo just stands there, and he has 3 fingers, and he looks cooler than the whole Zygarde. I don't know, but Yveltal is my favorite out of the Gen 6 legendaries. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, when I do this, I'm not counting Jirachi, I'm not counting Celebi or Darkrai or stuff like that, just the main cover legendaries. And that's it. So those are my favorite legendaries. As you can tell, I don't do top 10s, for the main reason that I feel really uncomfortable doing this. Not that I hate Andre Dutra for suggesting this, but it's just, I don't know how to make this. I don't know. I don't have a script. I'm just looking at the pictures because I have to look at the pictures before I put them in. So, filler time. Anyways, let's get on to the top 10. Let's not prolong this pain any more than it has to be prolonged. For you guys, of course. Not for me. I'm enjoying this. I don't know about you guys, but I am loving this right now. Wink, wink. Oh, you can't see that on the camera. Right. Anyways, so the top 10, the way that I ranked this was not just on competitive use. I had some thought in there. It was mainly based on memories of these Pokemon, and I figured they should be the top 10 because I do remember them vividly, and I do remember what I thought of them back as early as 1st gen for some of them, back as early as 2nd gen, 3rd gen, 4th gen, 5th gen, 6th gen, whatever. Okay, but a lot of this is just going to be based off of personal experiences, as well as, you know, just personal appearance, attacks, power, stuff like that. So, let's get into it. Number 10 is Octillery, and before you say anything about Octillery, this is not trolling you, these are real, okay? Not many people would say Octillery is one of their favorite Pokemon. However, I can tell you out of Gen 2 that Octillery was so freaking cool when I saw it. So, Octillery, simply put, it's an octopus with a bazooka for a mouth, okay? And when I saw it use Octazooka, first of all, the old animation for Octazooka looked freaking hilarious in 8-bit, or whatever the heck you call that type of pixel art for video games, but I just imagine him having a bazooka in his mouth, and he's just shooting Octazookas out. And I specifically remember I used an Octillery in my game, and I kept Octazooka, even though I had Surf, I kept Surf and Octazooka, because I just thought Octazooka was like a fit. It's like that, it's like Rotom Wash, where he has to have Hydro Pump. I figured Octillery has to have Octazooka, just because it's such, like, listen to the name of that attack, Octazooka. It just sounds so cool. I don't care how bad he is. I found that really cool, and it was a really good idea for something so simple as a octopus. Really neat idea, and I enjoyed that. So that's my number 10, Octillery, starting it off with everything. Moving on to number 9, we have Machamp, and Machamp is actually one of my favorite fighting types. I have a few favorite fighting types, and you'll see one later, but back in Gen 1, if you take a look at the animation that I chose for this image, this is what Machamp looked like. As weird as it looked as it got on, you kind of got more clear. It's like, oh, it actually has 4 arms, and you saw it in the show and everything like that. And I used to think, like, Machamp, because I remember someone asked me the question, if you had one Pokemon that would be your companion, what would you do? And I said Machamp, because if you need Machamp to, let's say, I don't know, build a shed, and you're like, Machamp, I need you to build a shed. I am mechanically impaired. I am weak, I am frail, I am 5'3". I can't do this. He'd be like, bro, I can do everything at once, right? So, I always imagine, like, you know, 4 arms become super useful and he's super strong, so I don't have to worry about him failing at doing whatever he has to do, so, you know, it's just, I just remember that, and I do like the design of him. I do like how, you know, it's 4 arms, and he's looking really strong, and you're going from a Chop, which is like a little puny trainer, into this guy who's become so strong his muscles have mutated into extra appendages, so, and just to prove that Machamp can do anything at once, I need you to take a look at this. So, ladies and gentlemen, basically what you're looking at is he can cook, slice you up with a katana, catch butterflies, and throw chemical warfare at you while wearing scuba gear. That's how you know, useful Machamp would be. Even just for enjoyment, just seeing him do all 5 things at once. I think that would be pretty pleasant, so. Machamp is my number 9. Going on to number 8, it's going to be a Pokemon that's actually out from the 6th gen, and it's going to be Aegislash. Now, I have already mentioned in my earlier videos when I did battles and had recording software that Aegislash is my favorite Pokemon in 6th gen. And particularly, it also hits my top 10. For such a simple design of a sword and a shield, they did it excellently. I love how they integrated stance change, and how they integrated the fact that the sword goes into the shield and it sheaths itself behind the shield, and when it attacks, it literally pulls itself out from behind the shield. I enjoy that. I think it's a great mechanic, and I think it's a great design for it's something like Octillery, right? Something very simple, but it looks fantastic, and it's convincing, and I just really enjoy the design of it. So, for me, it's like they actually put some thought into this, and they made it, you know, to, you know, make people look at it in a different way and go, I guess you can take something like Garbodor or something like Aegislash and just take an everyday object and make it look amazing. And that's what they did with Aegislash, in my opinion. So Aegislash is going to be my number 8. Going on to number 7, it's going to be the Pokemon that basically defines my playstyle, Shuckle. You may have seen Shuckle from such buildings as Fort Knox and other giant establishments that are practically impenetrable, because that's what Shuckle is. And in Gen 2, when I got Shucky from that one guy where you traded up the Pokemon, I forget which Pokemon it was. Nah, it's not coming to me. When you traded up for Shuckle, I used it through my playthrough of Pokemon. I used it. Wait, Shuckle was 2nd gen? Yes, he was. Yes, he was. Olivine City. Olivine. Yes. No, Olivine. You went to, oh my god, Cyanwood. You went to Cyanwood to get Shuckle. He was level 20, and I remember because just when I had the I still have the play guide, like the paper version of the play guide to Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal, and when I went to go look at its stats and I saw it was 230 defense and special defense, I literally thought it was the most stupidest Pokemon ever invented, and I had to use it because it would be the greatest Pokemon to use. And then I realized how long it took to kill things with Bind. So as a result, I ended up dropping it off my team, but I did use it for a long time because I figured, you know, hey, I can live this forever. They can't kill me, and I can just bind him to death. And then I remember how hard it used to be to grind that guy up, and I didn't want to do the whole switching thing because I'm like, hey, if he kills it himself, he gets all the experience. Yeah, you gotta be a little bit smarter than that, but I mean, young Andrew wasn't that smart, or young Pro Pokenoob wasn't that smart, so as a result, I dropped it, but it's still one of my favorite Pokemon to use as a wall, and especially now that they keep giving it more moves like Sticky Web, it's just becoming better and better. Like, how can you go wrong with Shuckle? Just saying. Anyways, he's my number 7. Going on to number 6, it's actually going to be Hitmonchan. I said there would be a fighting type. This would be my favorite fighting type. And, I mean, when I went through the Karate Dojo in Gen 1, I remember looking at the animations when you fight the master at the end, and I remember the giant foot that used to be in your face from Hitmonlee, and I'm like, where the heck is Hitmonlee? I just see a giant foot and then like a little head popping out going, hello! And then I remember seeing Hitmonchan, and I'm like, well, I see what they did with Hitmonlee, like Bruce Lee versus Jackie Chan, and I like Jackie Chan better than Bruce Lee, even though both are cool. I just like Jackie Chan better, so I went with Jackie Chan, also known as Hitmonchan. And, you know, he's just got punches. He just punches you to death, and which is funny, because I'm a kicker in martial arts. I like to kick a lot, and I like Hitmonchan better. But, I mean, I just like the design. It's cool how many punches he got, and the fact that you didn't really see a variety in kicks. Like, you saw rolling kick, high jump kick, mega kick, stuff like that. But then when you go over to Hitmonchan, he's got Ice Punch, Thunder Punch, Fire Punch, Mark Punch, Comet Punch, Bullet Punch, oh, jeez. Sucker Punch, he gets Vacuum Wave. I don't know if that's a punch. It's considered a punch. What else does he have? Oh my god. Just so, like that many, like, he just had such a great variety, and it was just cool to me that, you know, you gave a Pokemon all these awesome moves. And even though I didn't know they sucked back then, because I didn't understand the mechanics of the physical versus the special typing, as opposed to the actual move, I still used it. I remember Ice Punching a Gyarados in Gen 1. That was completely useless, but it looked cool, so Hitmonchan is my number 6, purely for the fact that I have memories of punching Pokemon for fun. Now, my top 5 Pokemon, for sure, are my top 5, and the reason why I say this is because these were the ones that popped into my head first when I thought of the top 10 list, and then I just ranked them from here, and I feel very confident in this ranking. Number 5 is Slaking. Now, we've seen Slaking in Friends Week. We've seen me use Slaking just in general. Slaking is quite possibly the most relaxed. Well, it is. He's a lazy king. He's a lazy sloth. But can you not? Like, I'm going to put some pictures up. You're going to tell me whether or not you can't imagine Slaking doing this. Slaking is so cool. He can lounge on a beach on the opposite side of the chair while drinking a coconut drink, and on top of that, having his blonde beach babes. Jinx, jinx. So, you know, he's the only Pokemon that I can imagine in this scenario. He would not be any cooler unless I could give him a name that's not Slaking. But Slaking, I think, in itself just makes him so incredibly awesome as a package of a Pokemon that, you know, people look at it and they go, oh, well, it's Slaking and he has the Truant. You know, he has the Truant and He sucks because he has the Truant. He can only attack every second of the turn. But have you ever seen a Slaking slap something across the face with the return, a Giga Impact, an Earthquake? It dies. So I don't think of it as Truant. It's not Truant. It's true power. It's true destruction. He is a true killer. And what you're losing to is a lazy ass Pokemon lounging on a beach in my head. How does that make you feel right now? Because it makes me feel a little weird for saying it. But Slaking, in Gen 3, awesome Pokemon. I remember fighting Norman. That thing gave me problems for a couple of times, and I eventually learned, bring a fighting type and beat it up already. But, I just found it to be one of the cooler Pokemon in Gen 3, just because, it was an awesome idea. Again, kind of like Stance Change Truant. I really like that mechanic. Even though it's a weak mechanic, I liked how they made something like that. But this guy is just so friggin' strong. It's awesome. So Slaking is my number 5. Now, number 4. And this has kind of a couple of stories to it, because this Pokemon has received some love from me, but also started receiving some hate from me. Number 4 is Beedrill. Now, Beedrill originally was not my favorite bug of Gen 1. My favorite bug used to be Butterfree. And the reason for that was because Butterfree can beat Beedrill. All you had to do is use Psychic or use Confusion. You can kill the Beedrills. And early on, when you had to fight all those bug catchers and things like that, I just found that Butterfree was just more useful, because instead of having to use frickin' Fury Attack and Poison Sting like Beedrill, you could just use Confusion, Stun Spore, Sleep Powder, Poison Powder, that type of thing, and you'd actually kill stuff. You get Psybeam by the time you have to start fighting the stronger Pokemon. That's just so much better in Gen 1 than Fury Attack, and then, I don't even know what he got in Gen 1. What did Beedrill learn? What did he learn? What did he actually learn? I don't even know. But the point is, I liked Butterfree first. Then I moved on to Fire Red, when that came out. And in Fire Red, I caught a Weedle. And, I never went back. I couldn't find, I don't remember. You could probably find a Caterpie, but I was like, you know what? I used Butterfree in the first game. I'll use a Beedrill in this one. And I actually leveled up my Beedrill to level 91. That is one of the highest levels I've ever leveled up a starting Pokemon. Most of the time, I will have at least one Pokemon from the early areas, just because I'm weird like that. It becomes useful in some way, and I mean, my Beedrill had cut up until level 91. I still have it on there. I'm pretty sure it's still those cut. But, I just used him as my cutter, and I'm like, you know what? This guy is really cool, and I actually kind of like the design. I eventually learned to love it, because it was now I look at it and you go, it's a bee with giant drills for hands. That's kind of interesting. And Butterfree kind of just fell out, especially in competitive-wise. As good as Butterfree is, it's better than Beedrill competitive-wise. But still, just the look of it, and just when they started putting animations to these Pokemon, Beedrill just started to look a lot more intimidating. And I like intimidating. I like scary Pokemon. So Beedrill just, ended up being on the list and taking over. So Beedrill is my number 4, miraculously, by making it through a couple of rough spots where I used to hate it. Number 3, and you probably should have seen this coming, Dunsparce. Because Dunsparce identifies the playstyle that I both epitomize and hate at the same time. I hate myself for liking it. I complain about it nonstop, but I like it a lot, and I use it myself. Hacks. God. Found this guy in the Dark Cave in Gen 2, and I was like, this guy looks weird. But he's a hovering land snake. That's cool. Not flying land snake. Hovering. He's hovering. He has the little wings. He can't actually fly, but he just apparently slightly hovers above the ground. So first of all, I thought that was cool. And second of all, once he got Serene Grace, I was like, yeah, this is fun. Bite, Rock Slide, Glare, all that type of hacking stuff, just to have fun with it. And then to continue on, you got Coil in the later gen and 5th gen. I'm going, oh my goodness, they're just giving everything to Dunsparce. It's incredible. So, I mean, Dunsparce is one of those weird looking Pokemon where you don't really know how to feel about it, and it's not that good competitive wise. It's not good to play throughout the game, but I still really like the design. It's kind of interesting how it was a hovering land snake, and I just love my hacks. As much as I feel bad when people hacks me, I love my hacks. So, As a result, you know, Dunsparce took a pretty high spot here, and he may have hacked out the other Pokemon, but you'll never know, because I'll never say. So, Dunsparce is my number 3. Number 2, we're getting to the top 2 Pokemon. Number 2 is going to be what is exactly on my profile picture right now, Blastoise. Blastoise was the first starter that I used in Gen 1. I continue to use it in Fire Red. I continue to use it throughout every game I could possibly do it. But basically, Blastoise is just cooler. I never jumped on the Charizard type train. I never jumped on the Venusaur train. I just like Blastoise. You gave me a tortoise with giant cannons in its back. What is more cooler than that? Nothing. Okay, Charizard's a flying fire dragon. We've seen that before. Have you seen a turtle with cannons? I don't think so. That's just friggin' amazing. And then you have Venusaur, which is an oversized plant. Woohoo! So, I did use it, and I also used a little bit of logic in Gen 1 because I knew the 8 gym badges, or I knew the 8 gyms because I watched the show before I actually got the game. So when I got the game, I'm like, okay, well, if I use Charmander, I'm going to have a little bit of problem throughout the first 2 gyms, and I'll be okay for the next, 4 gyms, and the last 2 gyms give me some issues. But if I used Squirtle, I'll be okay through the first gym, have problem in the next 3 gyms, and then be okay for the next 4 gyms. And then, I think Bulbasaur was the one that, like, beginners should use. Like, I remember people used to rate how easy the game was based on your starter. So, like, usually it was the grass type was like easy mode, and then the fire type was hard mode, and then like the water type was just in between. But I think that's kind of changed a little bit because now we have these dual types that are not like that. They're like now we have more dual types and more mixing of types. It's a little bit harder to say that one is easier to get through the game within the other, but I mean that still ends up happening. But I remember, you know, I didn't want it too hard, I didn't want it too easy. I'm like, but Squirtle looks cool, I do like Blastoise and stuff like that. And then once I got Pokemon Yellow, I just got all 3 anyways. But I still didn't train Charmander or Bulbasaur because I just like Blastoise. So, as a result, you know, Blastoise just remained my favorite. And, you know, I'm still upset. I'm still upset that Game Freak, when they designed this game, they didn't make him shoot water out of his cannons. Why does a Mega Blastoise shoot water out of his mouth when he has a giant juggernaut-like cannon on his back and arm cannons, and he still shoots out his mouth? Please, give Blastoise some love. He needs the love. Especially now that he's number 2 and he's not number 1, which we are about to get to. Ladies and gentlemen, number 1, hands down, if you were to ask me whether or not I would ever stop liking this Pokemon, the answer would be no. This Pokemon I have liked. It was in Gen 3, and it was a Pokemon that I didn't actually know about until I found it in the grass, and it still is just has the most criteria to say that it's number 1. Ladies and gentlemen, my number 1 favorite Pokemon, of course prescribed by me, is Absol. And you probably didn't see that coming because I use Sharpedo and I use Blastoise in my profile pics, and usually you use, you know, pics of things that you like, but I never really put much emphasis on Absol. Absol was the first Pokemon that I trained for the Battle Frontier, and if you guys remember back to Pokemon Emerald, when you started doing the battle points to grab items and stuff like that, he was the first Pokemon I actually tried to EV train and try to get a good one of, and I built a Focus Energy Night Slash Psycho Cut Slash set or something like that, and then I eventually replaced Slash with Superpower for the coverage of the type, but I had Focus Energy. Or did I switch it to Swords Dance? No, I think I used to have Focus Energy because I ran Super Luck, and then I switched it up to Swords Dance because I was like, Super Luck does enough for me anyways, and then I switched to the Swords Dance, and then that was the one I used to get through all the Battle Frontier with. So I bring like Swampert and another Pokemon, I didn't remember which one, but then I always had Absol come in at the end and clean up. But that's not the reason. That's not the only reason why I like Absol. I went on really long with that, but just overall, Absol looks incredible. I like the design of it, I like its attacks, I like what it does, but the thing that really enticed me, which is probably something that people don't really talk about, is the Pokedex entry. And if you go read the Gen 3 Pokedex entry, I don't know if it's in the other gens, I couldn't actually find a picture to use that appropriately showed it, but this image here shows you the Pokedex entry. He basically appears, Absol basically appears when there is doom. When doom is coming, he shows up. he's almost like a savior. I won't name anything because I'm not comparing a Pokemon to a higher being, definitely not. But he comes when a catastrophe is supposed to happen. And I just thought that was one of the greatest backgrounds to a Pokemon ever. I mean, don't get me wrong, a lot of the ghost types, I really like the backgrounds, like Cofagrigus and Trevenant, but, you know, Absol's was just particularly amazing, and I really enjoyed that. So, that Pokedex entry, because I used to read them all the time when I caught the Pokemon, that was really cool for me. And just on top of that, the Gen 3 sprite looked incredibly good. And it still continues to look really good, but just, you know, compared to the other Pokemon that you found in Gen 3, which all looked pretty decent, you just randomly found this guy outside of that Sky Gym area, and then all of a sudden it's like, wow, this is a really cool Dark Pokemon. And I think it was a step up for designing Pokemon, you know, based on things and stuff like that, but just the fact that I called him Sultan, because I used to call him the Sultan of Doom, because he would only pop out based on his Pokedex entries, so, you know, he would always be that guy who comes in at the end and sweeps everybody because he's the Sultan, that type of thing. But Absol is my favorite Pokemon that has remained with me. Very two close contenders in Gen 3 alone, where Absol is my top, my second favorite was Sharpedo, and then my third favorite was Slacking. So I didn't put Sharpedo in here because, as cool as Sharpedo is, I just had other things that I ranked higher instead. But in Gen 3, like, I really liked the Gen 3 playthrough, and, you know, just a lot of Pokemon in there as well were my favorites. So, Absol is going to take the crown for this top 10, and that's going to end this really awkward 31-minute conversation. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Hopefully you made it to the end. If you did, you will be excited to hear this. I cannot record. For some of you, that might be yay, because there are some people who hate me for some reason. I don't know why. If you don't like me, don't watch. I don't know why you come back and give me views, but thank you for the views. But if you did stay to the end here, I am planning to compensate for the fact that I can't record, and that will be coming out in a couple of days. So expect that once this video is out, within the next 2 to 4 or 5 days, or whatever it's going to be, I will be explaining what I want to do, because I can't stream yet, I can't record yet, I'm not allowed to upgrade this computer without my dad doing it, and you know, they don't want me spending that much money by myself. So, mainly because, you know, money is tight for everyone here, so spending money on this is the least of everyone's concerns on average, but it's the greatest concern to me. So I'm trying to make it so that I don't look invisible. I want to be out there for you guys. I want to start playing Pokemon again, because I've gotten that spark back. Basically, it's like, I want to try all these teams, but I just don't have the motivation. But I know if I put these uploads out, I will start playing. I'll get over that fear of looking stupid in front of people and having to fix up sets and everything like that. I don't know why I have this. It's just happened. But I am breaking out of my shell again, ladies and gentlemen. I am here for you guys, and of course, if you want to battle, just hit me up with a private message on YouTube, and then we can set up a time, we can set up a day, and just, you know, test stuff. I've got teams. Like, I actually have teams waiting. I just haven't played, because I've just been doing more team building than I have, and theory crafting than I have, theory modding than actually playing. So, if you guys want ideas, if you guys want stuff like that, let me know. Otherwise, expect that upload to let you know of the explanation of what will be going on. And of course, if you have any other ideas for uploads such as this, let me know. Put it in the comment section here. Put it in the previous upload. I'll leave a link to that in case you guys need to catch up on the story of what's going on with me. And of course, yeah, just keep updated, guys. I will be here. I am here, and I'm watching the numbers slowly dwindle, and it makes me sad, but I want to put an effort in to keep it going here. And I say that every upload, but something like this should show that, you know, this is going to take a while to build, and I'm still here for you guys. So don't worry. The noob is not out of the building yet. I'm still here. My box is just packed up a little bit. That's all. It's kind of like I'm waiting for someone to give me the go away, which I should probably be getting right now because this upload is going too long. Anyways, guys, have an excellent day. Thank you very much for watching. Leave suggestions, listen to me, and all that stuff that I just said. And peace.